Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Matt Novak. Alongside me, as always, Grant Hawker.
Just enjoying my victory chocolate cigar.
There you go.
Super Bowl champs, baby.
Been chewing on that
Chocolate?
for the next 3 to 5 business days.
Listen, I bought these as I told you as like the joke if I beat you in fantasy football.
Oh,
I bought these, and so I was like, I'm gonna save them for something better.
It's
And
better.
this is
That's
better.
a better thing for
What's
sure.
a better thing? So light him
Well,
up. I got him.
on the third mic with us, as always, too, Jameson DeFore.
Seattle team sacrificed a championship for another Seattle team.
It's nice.
The Seahawks finished what the Mariners started.
There you go. They're totally related and everything. Makes perfect sense. Same ownership, same coaching, players, all that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Hey, we just got through Super Bowl weekend. A pretty predictable outcome for all of us. We had the Seahawks for sure. We were actually pretty close as a group on the score of this game. Didn't miss that by a ton. But we're going to get into it tonight. We've got a record from Jason Myers set in this game, which contributed to the absolute snooze fest that this was for the majority of the time, as well as we're going to get into all things quarterback play, defense from the Seahawks, the coaching job by Mike McDonald on the year, and then we're going to get into some honors stuff because while we weren't surprised with anything, was a little surprised at the voting and how close some of those votes were for the different honors handed out this week. And then our quick reaction to the announcement of the Hall of Fame class as well. So let's break into all of it. This is our last episode for the 2026 season, or 2025 season, my bad, before we look forward to 2026. So let's dive into it. First of all, headline is Super Bowl. All of it. Exactly what we thought would take place. The Seahawks defense comes out and does what it's been doing. Nobody's shocked here. The shell does its job. While it gives up yards, it doesn't give up points. Interestingly enough, this is the mold that every defense wants for their team right now in the NFL, keeping everything in that little shell, allowing you to get close to first downs, allowing you to get a few yards here and there. Look at those numbers in terms of yardage in this game from the two offenses. Very similar in terms of totality. Lots of passing yards there for Drake May. Got in a few chunk throws in the fourth quarter and some garbage time, but it did its job. 29-13. Seahawks walk away with it, redeem themselves from 10 years of why didn't you hand the ball off? Pete Carroll, unemployed again, by the way, just awkwardly how that fumbled into all this. It doesn't have a job. Had to watch this game. I wonder what you would have done, Pete.
It wasn't Pete. It was Daryl Bevel. Okay.
Sure.
Just
Sure,
saying, the offensive coordinator. He was never calling
powers.
It's
fine.
This time around, they handed the ball off quite a bit more. Let's just say that. The irony is not lost on me here that the running back of this team won the Super Bowl MVP to get like the comeuppance for the game where they threw it at the goal line instead of running it.
Poetic.
So, cinema.
Yeah.
It's poetic.
Also, just wild. Well, just for a second, Myers not getting the MVP while setting the points record, pretty dumb.
Yeah, the argument is that Ken Walker got them to yards to put them in that position to do it, so I get it. And it's also like the flashier, right? It's the running back. Obviously, like the kickers are just like, no one cares about them unless they don't do their job, to be honest. Like, no one does. It's only if they mess up that we talk about kickers for the most part. I do think if there was ever a time to give it to a kicker for any reason, it would be now.
Or a
record
punter.
points? Yeah.
Or the punter.
Dixon was just dotting them all game.
Oh, the
Hitting
punt
them
when
every time.
the punt when there was the full bull rush, did even have a returner back there with a minute and a half left into the game, and he got it out so quick and nailed it at the 2-yard line. Like,
Well,
special teams for sure.
Let's not forget that some dude decided not to do his job and catch the ball on that punt. Like
They
you're
said it.
at 18.
They were all out selling for the block is what they were trying to do.
Oh, sure, but this is a thing.
Yeah.
Fair freaking catch and
The lights get
18?
bright.
What are you doing? You got literally a top 2 punter in the league for sure. No, by any look at it metric right now, and you're not going to catch that ball at the 18 and save your quarterback from doom that hasn't been able to move the ball the entire game. Bad call, dude. Like unless you lost it in the air,
I think that's a pretty good like example of the difference that special teams makes. Obviously, we talked about it with the Rams as well, and that was a more obvious like special teams goof where you're like actually muffing a punt.
And then they score the next play, kind of a deal.
But like even the difference here of Seattle, awesome special teams, field goal kicking all year long was pretty great, with the one exception being the miss in the first Rams Seattle game on a long one. And then the punting was fantastic. And then obviously on the other side, once you picked up Shaheed, that was like an instant boost to special teams. And as good as the Seattle defense was, you could say that the special teams was like just as good. And obviously the impact of that unit isn't going to be as strong as like an offense or
it doesn't
defense.
fill a stat sheet like a defense does.
No.
Obviously, the Patriots were outclassed in multiple ways, but like even just the minor ways where you can see just how much better the special teams was for Seattle. Like I still think Kenneth Walker should have won MVP. Obviously all the points were coming from the kicker, and we were joking watching the game. I was like, it could be a kicker winning a Super Bowl. He's just getting all their points. But it was also like he would just be the MVP because he was getting all their points. And I think Kenneth Walker's impact offensively was like the thing that ultimately, like you said, Grant, generated those points, because he wasn't making any particularly difficult kicks or clutch kicks. They were just like consolation points almost, where he was kicking like 38 to 44-yard field goals all game.
Yeah, the Patriots
exactly
defense
what they needed to do to win.
The Patriots defense stiffened up like in the red zone too. Also, like clearly early on in the game, first drive, there was 2 throws that Darnold made. I'm like, that was almost pick. Like they were sitting on routes.
Gonzalez was on one this game,
bro. Yeah, 3. He saved 2 touchdowns and then had a third PBU. Like it was
he
nuts.
Could have been the Super Bowl MVP if the Patriots, like in a universe where the Patriots just squeak by and May has the game that he does, but they somehow win. That's
good.
Yep.
This guy, the pass deflections, all the things that he did in that game.
He
genuinely could have been a 40-point game.
Hey, they could have dog walked them more than they did, because obviously the stats or the score doesn't indicate it much. But Drake May actually set a record for the most yards in a quarter, just because it was all garbage time. He had 220 yards in the fourth quarter, something insane passing.
Yeah,
just shows how much
ill-advised throws that went his way.
Yeah, for sure. But no, the Patriots were trying very clearly to make Darnold make the mistake, especially in the first half. They were blitzing like crazy, sitting on routes, being super aggressive, playing man, wanting Darnold to beat them. And he didn't really. He made a couple good throws there. But the real difference too was his stats don't light up the scoreboard or anything like that, but he played so well in the pocket, evading like pressures. Like there was 4 or 5 plays that they had him dead to rights, and he just maneuvered it, and even just throwing the ball away, getting a little check down here and there. The game was not fast for him. They were clearly trying to speed him up and make him make some decisions, see ghosts, all that kind of thing. But he just was so calm and just, okay, I'll just take 3 yards here. I'll just throw this one, and I'll just dump this into the ground. I'm just not going to put my team in a position to lose the game, because you didn't need to go win the game. You just had to not lose it. That was always the case with Darnold throughout the season, was like, don't lose him the game, and that team's good enough.
And he didn't panic when JSN went out, which was also big.
Yep.
And like watching the flow of the game, you can see, speaking of the rush that he was evading, Patriots clearly trying to attack from the outside the majority of the game, going after the tackles. And you could see the Seahawks counter to that was, okay, we are going to hold the middle. And what you saw was just the battle in the middle that the Seahawks won consistently. When McDonald signed on to this team, we had addressed the main issue for this offensive line was that they flat out got no push from the middle. Like from the guard position, center position, they were consistently having issues. They drafted the young tackles already. Lucas and Cross were already there, and they just couldn't get any push. And the main thing that he's rectified for this offense last 2 years, because is the move from Geno to Darnold insanely significant? In some ways, yes. In some ways, Geno doesn't play with great consistency. Darnold does. He plays
his
really
floor is higher.
Football. Yep, for sure. But the main jump on the offense, same running backs. We go ahead and draft a certain wide receiver, make that work within the system. They go get Barner. That was a big pickup. But really what got done was that interior work of the offensive line. And what you saw throughout this game was that blitz moving to the outside, or pressure that was trying to come inside being forced to the outside. Darnold did not have to move laterally. He was moving horizontally the whole time. And that's how you make that guy successful. Don't make him move to the left or the right. Get him straight and back, and that's it. And when the less that he has to think through, the better he clearly does. Yeah, some big step ups in this game in pocket pressure. Dropped the helmet once on a hand coming at him, I saw it, and ends up running for 7 or 8. Like, great evasion. But he was, as you guys already pointed out, he was not asked to do a lot in this game. We know that's the route to success for the Seahawks. And we'll get into some stuff in a moment about quarterback play in general. But just saying, the Seahawks showed throughout this game how to win football games right now. And all that traditional stuff that teams have gone away from, building the trenches, taking a defense and putting in a system and putting those pieces together. McDonald took the Ravens system that he built and he brought it to Seattle. He got Eamon to go fill his critical Kyle Hamilton position and then legitimately just stacked all these guys on the line and have rotational depth to the defensive tackle spots, guys that can do both things, can both pass rush and stop the run, not just specialists, but guys who can do both. And 6 sacks. Great special teams play.
It was 7 sacks.
7 sacks? I'm showing 6 on my stat board right here.
Pretty sure it was 7.
I think on the correction, it's 6.
Oh, yes, because the Witherspoon was not actually a sack because it was actually a pick 6. It wasn't a fumble. So
Right.
Technically, yes, that's correct.
Yep. So, yeah, 6 for 43 on that. So you get the sacks. You get the incredible special teams play, the 5 made field goals, the awesome punts from Dixon we already mentioned. And the return game didn't have to do much yesterday. Also, the Patriots, by the way, built roughly the same way, just a little more inexperienced and not as much depth, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But McDonald was like, hey, all that new stuff you're trying to do, I'm going to counter it with what I know works and this shell defense, and we're going to come after you in the trenches and beat you there. The offensive line's built. The interior of the defensive line's built. It's front 5, front 4 on the 2 sides of the ball. Got it done all night long and made this boring football for those of us that are not fans of either team. Like, genuinely, it wasn't super fun. And then in the fourth quarter, they made it really obvious who was going to win. So that was nice. If you had to clean up at your Super Bowl party, fourth quarter was pretty enjoyable. And you got out of there. By the way, dude, I think that was one of the fastest, if not the fastest Super Bowl I've ever watched.
It felt freaking slow to me because I was just even though I felt confident it's the Super Bowl, like I was 14 the last time they were in one, like I was sweating that thing out even till the very end. Like, it wasn't really to me until the pick 6 when Nwosu ran it back that I was like, okay, now I'll actually breathe. Because there came a point when they scored the touchdown to Mac Hollins on 3 plays, went 65 yards, and it was 19-7. I was like, oh gosh, please don't. Like, because then the Seahawks quickly went 3 and out and then punted the ball back to the Patriots. I'm like, dude, if they even kick a field goal, like,
they're
at this
gonna
point,
get ramsed by the Patriots
that's
instead of the Seahawks.
That's what I was scared of. I was like, dude, the Seahawks came back from 16 with 8 minutes left in a game, and it was like 12 minutes in the fourth quarter still. So I'm like, there's still time here. But then I think it was like 4 plays later, Drake May threw the pick, like on that really bad deep post, and Love picked it off. And then I was like, okay, that's a little better. So there was a moment where I did sweat it just a little bit, where I was no longer just kind of like, all right, I'm comfortable. I was like having to sit up in my gaming chair kind of thing, like when you're like in Madden, when you're locking in a little bit. So yeah, I had to do that there. But yeah, it did go by. I think overall, I don't know where it stood, but I think because the Seahawks just ran the ball a lot, eats up game clock way faster than throwing it all the time. So
research indicating it was 9 minutes longer than the shortest one.
Okay, yeah, so that's not...
So I just looked up because I was on my way home at 7:15 here West Coast. So I was like super shocked. I was already out of there. I'm like, dude, that was, even with cleaning up, wow, that was fast. Fastest one was Colts 2010. Was that Colts?
Bears?
Is
That'd
it?
be right.
It was earlier than that.
No, it was earlier than that. 2010.
Oh, is that the
Colts? Oh, Colts Saints.
Colts. Okay.
Yeah. It was when the Saints beat the Colts, 31-17. That's crazy for that many points for it to be that fast. But yeah, it was 3 hours and 17 minutes? 14 minutes. My bad. 3 hours and 14. So this one was 3:23, is according to the Google.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting to watch that defense finally suffocate at the end. And I think that a couple things that this showed me about the quarterback play for these two teams, okay? We'll get into this portion of it right now. First, Drake May playing the way that he did solidified everything that we have said, felt, and thought as football fans about Matthew Stafford winning the MVP last week.
Yep.
That's who should have got it. Absolutely. When Drake May has to play hero ball, you get what you got. Okay. And when he was taken off of the script yesterday and Josh McDaniels said, hey, we just got to go. You guys saw what I saw. Hucking a ball down the sideline on first down in the fourth quarter, and it goes 7 yards out of bounds. That was a deep ball. He tried to throw to the right. Just
that was like a Hail Mary. That was almost like a Hail Mary because it was so bad. And then obviously the one where he actually threw the pick to Julian Love, like acting desperate when you didn't. It wasn't at that point of the game where you really needed to go into desperation mode yet. Because again, if they scored points, like because there was 12 or 11 minutes left in the game when he threw that pick, and he's heaving it like it's the final play of the game, like bad.
And we saw throughout the season, he didn't have to play a lot of hero ball. He only played three teams with a winning record 3 times, went 1-2 in those games. We saw the gauntlet of quarterbacks and have gone over that immensely here in the last month on our show that he didn't have to go through. He got gifted the AFC Championship with Stidham not playing, Stidham playing and not Bo Nix. Like, genuinely, just didn't have to do a lot. And it finally was exposed here against a healthy team playing in good weather, no variables, and snap for snap, Darnold just outplayed him the whole game. Now, Darnold didn't do a lot because he didn't have to. His defense played awesome. Field position was the name of the game.
Manage the game.
Ken Walker can just take off. That offensive line's getting the push, so this is what we're going to do. But I was really disappointed to see that. I would have loved to see more of a contest from Drake May, especially when that dude finished just a couple votes shy of the MVP. I guarantee you, because we've seen it already 3 times this year, you put Matthew Stafford in that game, and that's not the way it goes. Those are 2 different things right now. You cannot compare their levels of play. I understand what the stats say, but I also understand the win percentage of the Patriots' opponents throughout the season.
Oh, they had
It's
the
not even
3rd
close.
easiest schedule since 1978 and the easiest in 25 years. Like, to think that doesn't matter is just insane. And like if you're a Patriots fan, you're confident. Like, obviously you have to be a good team to get there, but like one was not like the other. Like, you just look at how one team got there and how the other one did it, and you're like, dude, you're playing against backups, playing against the backup quarterback in the AFC Championship. You're playing against a guy who imploded in CJ Stroud, like arguably one of the worst quarterback performances of all time in a game, period. Like, it was awful. Like, game. Oh, absolutely, a playoff game. Like, all of it. And it was like, and yes, they played against good defenses for sure, but the offenses were terrible. If there was a semblance of an offense on the Texans, if Stroud threw 2 picks instead of 4, the Texans might have won that game.
That's fair.
That's how that went with the Chargers game. Like, that O-line had maybe 1 starter from week 1 or maybe 2 starters from week 1 in there. And Justin Herbert had a broken wrist and broken ribs and all the injuries he was dealing with. And they only beat him by 10 points there. Like, it was not the other when you look at what the Seahawks had to do and get through. And to me, it just shows how great Stafford had it for a year. Like, every other defense made the quarterback look like that, except Stafford, and just carved him up, especially in the last 2 games. The first one was whatever, but they were able to squeak out that win there. But those 2 games, I think you said the stats, like over 800 yards, 6 touchdowns, no picks, no turnovers at all. And really, it wasn't even Matt Stafford's fault why they lost. It was everything else. So, yeah, if Drake May won the MVP and then played like this, went out and did this, like, I would be mad for Rams fans, and I don't like Rams fans. I don't like the Rams. I don't like them at all. And I would be mad for them. I'd be like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was genuinely...
Me, I think,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, good. I was just going to say, I think the thing that I was always baking into the conversation that I don't think often gets baked into it, but I think should, because MVP, everybody talks about, oh, it's the MVP of this season, and they always want to talk about value, and that was why when you look at the advanced analytics, which I'm pretty pro advanced analytics, and yeah, they were in the favor of Drake May for a lot of time, but that also, I think, discounts like the value of experience that you have, because if we're being honest, if you have these 2 quarterbacks and you're looking at Drake May and his numbers this year, you're looking at Matthew Stafford and his numbers this year, and you want to make the argument that Drake May had the better year, sure, I will listen to that argument. But if you're also asking me who do you want to take to win a football game tomorrow, and you know that one of those guys baked into the season that he's having has 17 years of experience and this guy has 2, I don't think that gets considered enough. What value, obviously ability and the stats back up the ability of Drake May. But when you have the question marks surrounding the schedule that they had this year, you don't really have the tenure to vet the numbers that I'm seeing. And it's the same thing that I felt about Brock Purdy in the year where people were talking about him for MVP. It wasn't that I thought Brock Purdy didn't have a good year. I just thought being the NFL MVP, there was more to that. And I couldn't really trust you as the MVP of the league if I didn't also know that you had this like in you. And obviously, I think that was one of the reasons why Stafford won. It's one of the reasons why he succeeded so well against the Seattle defense. It's because the experience enables you to do those things. You can be talented and not have the experience, and that's where we see a lot of guys fall short and have these moments. I think it's one of the reasons why we continue to see Justin Herbert struggle a little bit. Obviously, he has some things he's dealing with that team too, but he doesn't have the experience. He has all the ability, but he just can't put it together to win those big games. It's rare to have guys go and win those games so soon. And the people that we've seen do it, like a Kurt Warner or a Tom Brady or like any of those guys, it's a little different. It's a little bit of a different air to be put in if you're going to be going and winning those games. And again, this isn't to knock Drake May. Last week we said, like, all of that goes away if you just win the Super Bowl. Nobody cares how easy your schedule was, because guess what? Yep. When we said, okay, can you win the Super Bowl then against this team? And you did. Okay.
And I think,
whatever. It doesn't matter.
And
I think now when you do lose, there is going to be this reaction where we can understandably say he had a cake schedule throughout the entire regular season, had pretty great numbers, didn't have to play hero ball. I think that's also why you see maybe his touchdown numbers are even a little bit lower than Stafford's was. And then you go into the playoffs and look at the defenses that he's beaten along the way. He's beating all the top defenses to get here after having an easy schedule. But he hasn't been putting up any significant numbers in the postseason. They've been winning because of the circumstances that they've been in, because their defense stepped up. And then when you ran into a juggernaut like Seattle, that's what you get.
Yeah, they had an offense to capitalize like on on what was happening. And I think too, like, I don't want to just slam Drake May. I think he's a franchise quarterback, and I think they've got their guy for the next 10 years. Like, dude's a baller, but like, the Patriots were not supposed to be here. It was clear they weren't supposed to be here. Like, just watching the play, and it's not even all him. Like, he did not play good, but also under siege the whole time. Will Campbell, holy cow, he gave up 14 pressures, which is the most ever in a game this season. Like, playoffs, regular season, 14 pressures. And this is not all on him. Absolutely not. Like, when you get sacked as many times and no one showed up, like, no one could get anything going. Like, no one could separate, catch the ball. Obviously, he has some terrible throws as well in there.
We couldn't help block that side of the field a little bit more in our scheme once we figured out that our rookie left tackle, who's coming off of a knee injury this season, can't guard their edge rushers.
And our rookie left guard also there, so just all rookies on that side.
Two rookies
Jared
on the
Wilson.
left side, and we're not like shifting any protections or like doing anything to make
that's
that.
where I go to. I thought Josh McDaniels called a horrible game.
He
like
did.
to be in this 10th Super Bowl, I thought it was horrific. They did so many just straight up drop back passes. They didn't play to his strength at all. They didn't try to move the pocket. There was hardly any play action. They didn't try to shift anything, slide any protections over. They literally asked their quarterback, who's played one full season, hey, we need to put the entire game on your back and you need to go win this, but we're not going to do anything to try and help that for you. We're just going to leave everything as is. We're not going to recognize the weakness on our line and, again, shift protections. We're not going to move you to the other side of the field, not moving the pocket. We're just going to have you drop back from shotgun or just from behind center, and we're just going to expect you to throw it 30 to 40 times, and then you just win it for us. Sound good, kid? Cool.
Yeah.
That was a horrible game call.
The lack of variance in it was brutal to watch. If you see the first two drives, there's some ditch plays out to the left to running backs where there was space. They were formulating a game plan where they ran right past left, and these were designs. These weren't like, oh, we're trying to throw the ball downfield. Oh, here's our dump option. It was legit like design. They run out a corner from that shell. They're literally just trying to move the corner, get the one-on-one with the linebacker. Drake takes a half step up, linebacker flinches, ditch to the running back, and then he's got a space. that happened and moved the ball on third down a couple of times for them, converting first downs. These are, again, first 2 drives here. And then later in the game, which is Josh McDaniels sticking with that in the second quarter. And all of a sudden, like, Burrow's getting dropped at the line, pass gets deflected, and he threw the ball to the left into the pressure, like, constantly throughout this game. No variance. In the second half, they come out with their first drive, and it's like, all right, hey, we're going to reset. We're going to go. Guess what got called in the first 3 plays? Same thing. Catch ball, drop for loss. And, yeah, you didn't see the variance that Josh McDaniel, by the way, assistant coach of the year, Josh McDaniel, the only coach of the year that he'll ever get, like, just no variance, like, going anywhere else with the ball. Didn't love that. Also, Hunter Henry, got to catch the ball, dude.
Yeah, there's a couple
not
of
good
those
ones in this game.
I also was shocked they didn't. I know he dropped a couple instead, probably for a rookie, essentially a rookie quarterback. Obviously, his first time in the playoffs, rookie. Him starting to maybe not trust Hunter Henry, but this is a defense that gave the most yards to tight ends all year. That was, if there was one weakness, it's that. If you have a good tight end, even a decent tight end, you could move the ball. And like they throw to him a couple times, obviously didn't catch him. And I'm surprised they didn't try to look his way a little more. And then the other thing too is that in the first quarter too, Ramondre Stevenson actually got some push on some yards. Like he got 4 yards, 5 yards. And then I was like, oh crap. Like they're actually being able to get these into 2nd and 4, 3rd and 3, like manageable, which is like football 101. And then they're just like, we're actually just going to, again, have Drake May, our 23-year-old quarterback, throw it 40 times in the game or however many times he threw it
43.
at the end there. Yeah. What are you doing? That was just terrible.
I think I saw that they also ran 11 personnel, like over 70% of the snaps on offense. And again, knowing that, hey, we have some real good teach tape here about how tight ends and some bigger personnel, and that's a credit to Seattle's defense too, but their base defense lines up pretty well with almost anything you want to put out there. That's why they were so good. But like if there is a way to attack them, it is through the tight end. And we've watched teams with MVP level quarterbacks and these different personnels shuffle things in. But you could have also at least used like a 12 personnel that help get an extra blocker at the end of the line or something when you know that you're getting absolutely destroyed and you had no other game plan, just dropping back in 11 personnel. And so there was nothing to try to switch that up and attack what we think ideally should be the weakness of that team.
And how that lines up is middle of the field exposure. Like the design on the shell is literally to keep everything underneath. Guess where tight ends run their routes, dude? The majority of the time they're pulling underneath. And you did not see Drake May with options in front of him. In front of him. He's constantly looking to sides, but in front of him. I wouldn't so much put it on the linebacking crew. After watching the Seahawks as much as I have in the last 6 weeks, I would put a ton more of that on the design of the defense. And I know that because I'm a 49er fan, and we run something pretty similar. We're trying to go with a 4 construct up front, and bend don't break, if you will. Our zone scheme is definitely different than the off and on man scheme that Seattle plays. We don't play near as much, but like genuinely, I see it all the time. Like even when Fred Warner's playing, we do that. So I don't understand why you're not trying to expose what the defense gives you and let athletes beat them. I think like when I watched the 49ers play the Seahawks this year, 3 separate occasions where we beat them down was by using our best weapon, Christian McCaffrey, over the middle all the time. So why aren't you using your best weapons over the middle consistently? I got to attribute part of that to the pressure that he's getting because it was significant. I'm not going to take anything away from the Seahawks defense in that regard. But quick hitters over the middle, I think would have made a huge difference. I know we're talking in retrospect, so in the flow of game, there's a plan, there's a thing you're trying to work. But Josh McDaniel looked panicked in a lot of this in terms of he didn't want to go after certain things and those spaces that I feel were there for Drake May early on. And then he just pulled the cap off him in the 4th quarter. Remember, they ran the ball on 3rd and 5 late in the 3rd quarter. They ran the ball right up the middle with Stevenson. And I went, what is that? Everybody around me is going, what are you talking about? I was like, dude, they just ran the ball on 3rd and 5. They're down by 2 scores. What are you doing?
Collinsworth called him out on that. I was like, you're just conceding that drive.
The word he kept using.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And also, like,
Dang,
the fact
good
that
point by Collinsworth.
I guess I'm saying that in a second. But Travion Henderson got 6 rush attempts too. What? Like I would
your weapon?
His speed. He's probably the fastest guy like maybe on the field.
Shaheed.
No, on the field because he's
fair, yeah.
when they're with 22 players on the
Offense versus
field,
defense.
Yeah.
like him or maybe Woolen. Woolen's stupid fast, even though he's weird sometimes. But
And made one really bad play.
yeah, but to get the ball 6 times to your running back, who's clearly like of all of your weapons, the best weapon like on your team. Again,
Yeah,
just
we couldn't get this guy in space. Like we
Is
couldn't
he-
figure out a way to. I know their defense is great, but we can't figure out a way to scheme this guy.
Like,
McDaniel
yeah.
not trust him? Is he still injured?
I don't know,
Like,
but it's
we
just
were pissed
weird.
when he only got that one carry. Remember? Like,
It's so weird when we have teams. I just think back to John Harbaugh not using like a Hall of Fame running back in your backfield. Like, why do you not use
He'll close
your
it out,
players? What's the point of drafting these guys if you're not going to play them? I think, again, helping out your 23-year-old quarterback by getting your best players the ball would probably help a little bit. So, yeah.
yeah, and if you're gonna overuse a guy, let's do it in the Super Bowl.
Who
Like,
cares?
let's maybe do it then.
That's what-
Who was it, by the way, that went down late with the injury for you guys in the end zone? The defender who
Oh,
got hurt on that cross play where they ran into the dude in the middle of the end zone.
That might have been Kobe Bryant.
I think it was. Yes, it was
Number
Bryant.
8.
And
Yeah.
we were talking about it as we're watching the close of the game there, and he goes down with it looked like a shoulder.
Might have been, yeah.
Shoulder, back, neck, somewhere in there. And I was saying that to some people the casual people watch a few games a year, honestly. And at a party that you guys know the story, but this one person goes, "Oh man, like that sucks." And I go, "Yeah, but if you're gonna get hurt and you're gonna go all out, it's probably to do what he just did in the most important game of his life.
In
Who
the
cares?
fourth quarter of the last game of the season.
You just punched down a touchdown like to save your team here. That's awesome. Actually, that's the one time I'm good with being hurt is right there. But yeah, it was really like super annoying, right? To not see them use weapons and to go after stuff. Also, can we make fun of Diggs for 2 seconds? Because that was freaking hilarious. You catch one decent pass in the entire game
And you
then
spin
you
it.
spin the ball with 2 minutes left in the game while your team's down by multiple scores. What a loser.
It's
like
the,
genuinely, that was the most Diggs thing I've ever seen.
Who was the guy that Chase Claypool, like him down? Do you guys remember that bum with the Steelers when he caught a first down? And I think it was, I don't know who it was, had to run and rip the ball out of his hands because he's doing that. Yeah, that was Chase Claypool coded for sure. So just to button up maybe the Patriots side for a second, Drake May just completed the worst postseason with a Super Bowl appearance of all time by EPA by quarterback at minus
And he was
29.
the EPA king all regular season. That's what everybody wanted to tell you.
And EPA stands for expected points added, by the way. So that's like measures a single play improves or worsens a team scoring. So he was negative 29. He is in the ranks of, by the way, 2015 Peyton Manning. That's actually the second worst at minus 22. So he's 7 points worse than shell of himself, Peyton Manning. But then, guys, it's the likes of Rex Grossman, Joe Flacco in 2008, Jared Goff in 2018. But then it's Kerry Collins, it's Trent Dilfer.
There it is. I was waiting for it.
Yep. But here, Trent Dilfer, who we consider like the worst Super Bowl winning quarterback of all time, is negative 5. So Drake May is 24 points worse in EPA this postseason than arguably the worst quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl.
Hold on, because we got to throw one thing into the equation. Snow game counts. Okay,
sure.
None of the guys that you just said had that snow game.
Sure, I
got to throw one game into it.
Yeah, it will, but just he was terrible on the other ones too. And I would say even before the snow, they punted I think four or five straight times before the snow rolled in that
they were
Denver
never
game.
Really impressive offensively for basically the entire postseason.
Yeah, and so like he was historically the worst postseason quarterback like of all time to appear in a Super Bowl. Obviously, like the one and dones who just implode, but to actually get all the way to a Super Bowl, the worst quarterback in terms of EPA. So like essentially, yeah, I mean it's in the ranks of just some of these guys that you don't even know or have completely forgotten about or shell of themselves type players.
I still believe that Stan Humphries played for the Chargers against the 49ers in 95.
Yeah.
Is the worst quarterback to make it to a Super Bowl. I personally believe that.
Yeah, he might be. He's not on here.
No.
But again, EPA is it's weird how it all gets evaluated and all that kind of stuff.
The gauntlet that the Chargers got to run with that incredible defense that they had that year enabled him to score from the likes of 30 yards out and 20 yards out. It was absolute. Junior Seau's defense that year was
Mhm.
I think too. I think what they don't. It doesn't have it in the stats here, but he had 4 interceptions, but he had 7 fumbles in so that's 11 turnovers total, which I gotta imagine is the record. Like 11 turnovers is
The turnover fiesta
Yeah.
down in Houston was incredible.
Yeah, and it can be bad weather, but that doesn't mean you have to turn the ball over.
That is true.
No, I mean, but
It's gonna happen
one thing
more,
I would put up to that, if you think about the only thing, and hear me, I completely agree that it was not good at all. It was terrible and maybe one of the worst of all time. Totally do believe that. But if you look at the gauntlet of defenses that he did run through,
Oh yeah, it was the top
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Mhm.
Like all of those are
I think the
Texans,
Chargers were
Seattle.
like 7.
Yeah,
So I
so I
think
mean,
the Chargers were the easiest one that he faced. It was that one. Texans were 2, Broncos were
Broncos,
3, and Seattle
Seattle.
was 1.
so that's 4. I mean, those are the top essentially 4
Those were
defenses.
those were his last 3 games. There is a
No,
little bit of that.
And if he did win it, how impressive. I mean, we may talk about what a great for him to, and if he was able to show up and play well in this one and kind of silence all that, you might argue like what an incredible Super Bowl run for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the quarterback end of things too, I wanted to touch on 2 other things. Darnold, one, again, we're just going to always reiterate, the dude does his job. He plays really consistent. He gives you opportunities that other quarterbacks maybe wouldn't, because he's not out there playing hero ball. There is no situation in this season where he had to go and do that. I think that the Seahawks benefited in terms of how it lined up, in terms of who they played in the playoffs a little bit. In one way, yeah, the 49ers clearly, speaking of a shell of themselves with all the injuries and decimation there. But I think with the Rams still having the young defense that they do and not having that elite pass rush, the secondary is what it is right now, all that stuff, there's a little bit of a benefit. That was an easier road, if you will, than what Drake May had to take on. I think that's obvious on all accounts.
On the defensive side, yeah, overall. I wouldn't say better. Yeah.
But Darnold managing the way he did was great to watch. It's exactly what he needs to be in the future to be successful, and the Seahawks need from him for them to be successful. In all, these numbers are incredibly pedestrian, I'm going to say. 19 for 38 with 202. Obviously, the team loses 8 because of the 1 sack, so it's a 194 on that part, but 202 from him. And then just 1 touchdown in the game, but did not turn the ball over. Obviously, the key factor. We talked about that going into this game. Whoever controls the turnover margin wins the battle. Patriots gave it up 3 times total in this game. Seahawks didn't give it up. There you go. The thing that I noticed the most in watching him is when he misses to controlled places. He misses to the sideline. He misses into the ground to the outside. He's not missing when there's a safety over top. And that was one thing that I wanted to point out that I thought he did well all season. It was something I watched with great consistency. When he's throwing the ball, he's giving his receiver a shot, but not the defender most of the time. Did he throw a few ill-advised passes through the season? Yes. He turned the ball over several times. But when
he led the league.
He did.
Yeah,
when it came,
he actually turned it over the most, but
yes.
Some might say.
But there's a few things that factored into that also extend a little bit beyond him. One is some young receivers that made some poor plays that did hand off a few of those passes.
They were also more just, they weren't because of bad errant throws all the time. It was like you got tricked. That was the whole seeing ghost thing. It's not he was throwing bad balls. He was just throwing them in the wrong place.
And a reminder with Kubiak's offense, there's often options on the route tree. And if something doesn't get heard in the midst of gameplay, dude runs left when he should run. There's multiple times where you saw Darnold frustrated by a route from a receiver in which those interceptions were thrown. But what I watch when he throws the ball is I watch a dude that's missing to really good spots all the time. He's giving his receiver still the option, or the opportunity, I should say, but he is missing to a good spot. And I just thought when it mattered, the dude had the mental game to accomplish everything in front of him. And you got to give it to him for being very cool under pressure when he has been known for seeing ghosts and chasing said ghosts. And I just respected the heck out of the way he played throughout the playoffs and in this game. Also, in conclusion on that point, I don't know if I need to say this as a fan. I don't think I hate the Seahawks. Like, I was watching this game.
Whoa.
And I think I hate the Legion of Boom for sure.
Oh, I mean, that
They're the most antagonistic, like horrible dudes. Not horrible all time, but they were pretty bad. They were up there.
Yeah, I think they were all had this like chip on their shoulder thing, and Pete leaned into that, and
They talk trash.
Yeah.
they talk trash. There was, I think they led the league in scoring for 3 or 4 years. They're like, they walked some of that trash, and that also makes you hate them more. When you're, when Sherman's talking all this trash, man, I got nothing on you because you're.
I gotta say, dude, just watching all the interviews, watching them go in. There's a couple of guys that are young right now. They got a little heat behind them. Sure. But even Morey's one of them. You listen to him a little bit. I don't like these guys. I don't like those guys. But some of that's just football talk. It's what you need to do to get it going all the time. I get it. But you have a lot of nice people that play for the Seahawks. It's weird.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp, super respectable guy. We all know.
That guy's going to be a future coach. Holy cow.
Yeah, he's better, dude.
He like what? If you listen, like I've said, I listen to all their interviews all the time. Everyone's, dude, what he's done for the wide receiver room is far beyond what he actually brings on the field. It's the Monday through Saturday of like why they massively overpaid for him. $15 million for that production. That's a massive overpay in terms of just stats, money handed out.
Downfield though, it doesn't feel like it then.
What he did this season, like for the team, was just insane. They've said it's like having another quarterback in the wide receiver room. That's what he is.
But there's just so many like nice guys.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to point out. Like, how can you hate Sam Darnold? How? Like, I loved him being on my team as a backup. I thought he was great. Like, I listened to him talk all the time. He's like, I don't know. It's nice that they let me out here. Like, Brock's so much better than I am. He's one of those guys.
I think you hate him if you're a Jets fan or a Vikings fan right now because you're.
Well, maybe you should hate your ownership.
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, with the Jets, I mean, he was terrible, but I saw some funny thing. It's like we expected a 21-year-old to fix the New York Jets with Todd Bowles and Adam Gase as his head coach, and we hold that against them. And it's that's a fair point.
Sam Darnold was only the second quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl and have played for the Jets, and the other one was Joe Namath.
Dang,
that is so good.
That's a real. Stat.
That's insane. I know he's the first quarterback to win a Super Bowl after playing with 5+ teams.
Yeah.
I saw that one.
That's so funny, dude.
And Cooper Kupp, by the way. There's only 2 receivers in the history that have 2 Super Bowls and an Offensive Player of the Year. The other one's Jerry Rice.
Yep.
So
see, here's the thing.
I don't. My guy.
Good.
I don't know. Does he belong in the Hall of Fame? Like I don't know. I don't think so either. Like
statistically,
I saw someone trying to. I'm like, he had won like the best season of a receiver of all time. I think. And the totality of it, to win Offensive Player of the Year, to win Super Bowl MVP, to win the Triple Crown. Yeah. But he only has, I think, 3 other seasons with 1,000 yards. I think two other than the one.
If you want to do like the peak achievement, if you're just like reading the little card and you're like, Cooper Kupp had the greatest single season as a receiver ever, won the Super Bowl MVP, and then has 2 Super Bowl rings, you'd be like, wow, okay, what else? And you'd be like,
that is it.
That's it.
Which is a crazy thing to say. Oh, that's it. But like,
let me drop it like this though.
Not in the hall. He's not in the hall. I'll just say that.
Oh yeah.
If we start putting 8 in a year, I don't mean to open up the honors conversation just yet, but if we start putting in 8 a year and we are talking seniors, Bro could get in with the senior mention someday.
A posthumous Cooper Kupp,
or
old Cooper Kupp, man,
or maybe if
80-year-old walking with a cane Cooper Kupp.
Or he'll be a coach. And
I would say if he becomes a coach, maybe he ends up being a great head coach someday, and then he's a Hall of Famer head coach.
Either way, classy dude, like genuinely awesome. Classy dude. And I want to say this, as much as I am a hater of the casual fans that I will be surrounded with for the foreseeable future, as Grant is well aware, hats off to a very classy team for doing classy things and not being awful human beings when they win the Super Bowl, giving due and respect to others. And I thought that the Seahawks did like genuinely a good job with all that. Watching post game and all that stuff, dude. Celebrate your team, celebrate each other. Be grateful for your coach. Be grateful for the community and the fans and your ownership. And John Snyder, who they all owe a major debt to, will be the best. Him and Howie are it right now. Just throwing it out there. Him and Howie are it right now. Let's go. But
I think he might be 3. Maybe 3rd, but John Schneider is the only GM to win multiple Super Bowls with a franchise with 2 completely different rosters having no carryover from the last Super Bowl. No GM's ever done that. Yep. So that means a lot to,
absolutely.
First of all, to be there that long, to have that longevity, especially in the league where it's like, you got 3 or 4 years to prove you're something, otherwise you're gone. So that's also hats off to the ownership Even though Jody Allen's a terrible Blazer owner, she's a great Seahawks owner.
Yeah, because she doesn't do anything.
She just
That's what we want NFL owners to do.
Yeah.
Nothing. We don't want
Cut the checks, bro.
stupid opinion.
Cut the checks. That is it. Hire people who
Seriously.
know ball. Let them
If
make
I'm
decisions.
not allowed to have an input on it, neither are you. Genuinely, me and Kyle don't text, and it breaks my heart every day. But I understand why. Dear Lord. To conclude the quarterback conversation, I want to say this. I think that the last 2 years of Super Bowls have proved something to the NFL, and that is that we need to stop doing something as just universally, okay? We did this for a long time because of the likes of Tom Brady. We did it because of maybe a Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, okay? None of which I mentioned just now have more than 2 Super Bowls on them other than Brady, clearly. But we need to stop pretending that an elite quarterback wins you Super Bowls. Because Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl. Okay, and has been to a couple. Sam Darnold just won a Super Bowl. What wins you Super Bowls, if you go back and look at what the Chiefs did in the years that they won, their interior was phenomenal on both sides of the line, offensive and defensive. Their interior was phenomenal. Go look at the exterior. It was fine. They had decent, honestly, like they had good offensive tackles, not elite. They didn't have that exterior pass rush that was elite, okay? That came from the inside. Chris Jones dominated. Look at what Philly did last year. Interior offensive line. They're trying to change the rules on them because they exploited something. Their interior defensive line that they drafted was phenomenal, okay? Look at how they're winning. And if you go back 4, 5, 6 years, you're going to find an exception to that, but you're not going to find very many. In the NFL, if you want to win, build from the inside out. You can win with a rookie quarterback contract or a mediocre quarterback contract. You absolutely can. But if you don't draft well on the interior and utilize that as the forefront of how you build your team, see ya. Like, you're gonna lose. So stop chasing wide receivers in the first round. For the love of God, 49ers, stop chasing receivers in the first round. Mm-hmm. Stop chasing that stuff. Where you get it done is in the middle, dude. I absolutely respect the heck out of these 2 teams that just played in the Super Bowl for how they built their rosters. I absolutely love seeing offensive linemen, especially interior guys, picked in the 20s of the first round. And I expect that to happen a couple of times this year based on where some stuff's falling. We'll get into that with Mike in our offseason discussions. But, like, genuinely, dude, I feel like they proved it to us. This is how you do it.
I'm so glad that, like, you don't need to drop $50 million on a quarterback to get it done.
No.
You don't. Like, Sam Darnold's, I think he's like the 14th or 15th highest, but he's making $35 million a year. But because they didn't miss for 3 drafts in a row, they're paying nobody anything, really, and they are able to get it done because they go get a quarterback who's like a B minus to B plus quarterback, probably depending on the week. Pay him $30 million a year, and then go get the rest of your team. Go spend the draft capital elsewhere. Spend it on the trenches. Maybe go get 1 or 2 veterans. They traded for Leonard Williams, paid him nicely. A couple of those middle pieces, like you said. So I hope that's a lesson for GMs. Yes, you can. They think you can only win by paying some quarterback $1 gazillion or a quarterback on a rookie contract. There's another way, and it's something like this. Yeah. What both these teams just did.
Find the right guy. If a team's paying attention, the Vikings just need to ship out their second rounder and whatever for Mac Jones. If you're really that close, if Brian Flores is sticking with you, which clearly he is now, and you're going to have the squad that you have, go give him somebody that can just huck the ball and do
go draft a running back.
Yep, go draft a running back because Aaron Jones, knees are about to fall apart. So go take care of that. But genuinely, go spend that. If the rest of your squad is what it is, let's go just hack some or toss some draft capital at somebody and say, hey, we need this and nothing else. I think the schematic is clearly there for the future for teams, and I think when you're paying $50 million plus, and honestly, what matters more is not the actual amount, but the cap hit. Let's be real about that. You have teams like the 49ers who use that carryover cap and have multiplied it year over. Like, we're at 60 million in cap space with all the contracts we have this next year because of the cap carryover, and it going up 24 million doesn't hurt either. But that's the part that matters. So figure that out, GMs. That's how you get good. I understand that there has to be an agreement between you and ownership to get some of that stuff done. And a lot of these owners get impatient and they just want to pay guys so that they keep guys so they can get all that income continuing to be like generated. But whatever, dude, just figure out how to build those trenches, because we want to see good football. And genuinely, this is a great product that wins you games. A little boring for the Super Bowl, but that has more to do with the Patriots than it does with the Seahawks, because the Rams played it great. So whatever.
Well, and that's what I was telling Jameson before we got on. Like, this would have been the outcome, I think, if it was the Rams and the Patriots, if it was the Seahawks and the Broncos, if it was the Rams and the Broncos, because to me, the NFC was just in a class of its own. The gap was massive. So as much people, it was probably boring. Obviously, it wasn't much for me because I'm a fan of the Seahawks and they won. But it would have been the same outcome if the Rams got there. I truly feel like it, because I just think that these teams were just leaps and bounds. We said it last week. The Super Bowl really was the Rams and the Seahawks. They were the two best teams in the league. And there's probably a couple NFC teams even after them that you might have put over some of this thing. Because even if Bo Nix was playing with the Broncos and they're in the Super Bowl, I still think this outcome would have been very similar, maybe a little bit more competitive. But that just shows where the gap was for the NFC and the AFC this year, with all of the Lamar Jacksons, the Burrows, the Patrick Mahomes not in it. The only thing that would have potentially stopped something like this is a generational quarterback, and there just wasn't one in the AFC this year. That was it. So this would have happened no matter what. This was the inevitable outcome, in my opinion.
Yeah, the best quarterback in the NFL is doing rehab right now in greater Kansas City area. Like, he is. And so that showed that the AFC didn't produce its best talent. Bo Nix goes down with an injury. You think about how that all lined up. Are we even having this conversation if Bo would have lived through or not busted his ankle or whatever? I don't know. That would definitely been a great matchup. I would have loved the Broncos with Bo against Seattle.
It would have been better because the Broncos were a more complete team for sure.
Dude, I don't think anybody's leaving the Super Bowl parties early if that matchup's there. Yeah,
I still think the Seahawks might have won, but it would have been much closer.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not taking the dub away, but I'm just saying 24-21 with a oh my gosh, and everybody's shaking.
It was crazy that people were just looking past how terrible the Patriots O-line was. I'm like, we've seen this play. I said it last week. We've seen this play out. They're terrible. Terrible O-lines will never win a Super Bowl. Never. I do not care. Patrick Mahomes, second greatest quarterback of all time, got
Tampa Bay
bullied because he had a terrible O-line. So to think that was somehow going to be different was just straight up delusional from some people that I've seen online.
And what they did to fix that O-line was the interior, like 100%.
And then they went back and won 2 in a row. Pretty like a couple years after that.
And then, and then they started shipping those guys out. No,
they won 6 games
with a busted knee.
Yeah.
So, 2-1 protector of the year after leaving Kansas City. And one of the reasons Kansas City crumbled is because Patrick Mahomes was, again, under duress the whole season and then catches up to him.
So. Literally, guys, preach. We could say this till we're blue in the face. It is the recipe. I think when we watch the draft this year, dude, that's something like I know Michael pointed out like a million times because he's annoyingly good at all things related to that. But when we're watching who they draft, I know everybody gets excited about quarterbacks and skill players and maybe edge, but dude, we're going to see some teams make some good decisions, I think, in the trenches, and I think your highest grades rarely come off of that. We always think, oh, yeah, they went and got this guy, they went and got that. Look what it's going to do to their offense. We're always thinking that way. When the Raiders inevitably select Mendoza with the number 1 pick, we're going to be like, first round, They have 2 first-round picks, so we're just going to throw it out there. But that's not fixing that team. Dear Lord, like they have so much to deal with on their offensive line, and hopefully that second pick is a protector. That's what they need. But that'll be really interesting. I cannot wait, though, to talk to Mike about that specifically. Did the Raiders trade that pick?
Yes, they should.
Oh, my gosh. They could get
in the air.
A real number 1 is going to be there. In Mendoza, that's a real number 1. I cannot believe there's not a ransom coming at
most
them.
Phone calls, I think.
What they need to do is what the Panthers did. They trade away the number, or not what the Bears No, gosh, I'm blanking. What was it? Who had
Somebody
the pick?
traded up.
Oh
Somebody
no, the
traded
Bears.
with the
Yeah, no, the Panthers traded for the number 1 spot from the Bears. The Bears traded out, and they got DJ Moore and that kind of stuff. They built their team, and then they got the first pick the next year or 2 years later, and then they drafted Caleb Williams to a team that had some pieces around it to sustain a quarterback, and that's absolutely what the Raiders need to do in order to actually be successful and set up their next guy. I know they love Mendoza. I know he's exciting. I get all of that. It's a quarterback. This team is terrible. But if they actually want to set up their team for success, they need to do what the Bears did, trade the number 1 overall pick for a ransom, build their team in the trenches, in the middle, then go get their guy in the next year or 2. That's what they need to do if they actually want to be successful.
A different friend of mine texted me the other day, and he goes, "Hey, I'm just thinking about this already." He's number 1 pick. Raiders trade back. Okay, they have what other pick do they have? I can't remember,
Raiders?
but he goes, if the Raiders were to trade back, and let's just say they go get premier left tackle. Okay, that's what they do. They move down to 3. They move down to 4, somewhere in there. They go do that. And they are able to go get a left tackle. Then they go get a linebacker. There's a couple of premier linebackers in this upcoming draft.
I don't see that they have another first rounder. They might have an early second.
Yeah, they do.
I'm on there
anyway. So what do they trade back? They go do that. They go get, like I said, left tackle. Then their second pick is a linebacker. And then with their third pick, they call the Niners and they say, "Hey, Mac Jones, can we trade you our 3rd rounder plus our 3rd rounder next year and take Mac Jones, and we'll give you blah, blah, blah." Okay. Just throw out a player name, positional need for the Niners. And he goes, and they go Mac Jones, protector, linebacker out of the gate, and then spend the rest of their capital trying to fill just need positions. But they've taken care of their 2 premier needs outside of quarterback with that. And I was like, so you're going Mac Jones and Geno? And then it's like, and then they figure out a way to trade Geno. And I was like, no, like that's the one part of that doesn't work. You can't trade Geno. He's untradeable.
We get that $30 million now for quarterback is cheap nowadays where the market's at, but a guy who threw 17 picks or whatever, that's
34th ranked quarterback in the NFL. Yeah, the value's not there on those dollars. So that's where it loses me. But that's what's going to be fun about those conversations when we look postseason. But before we get to some of those conversations, I want to go backwards to last week because we had some very strong reactions to NFL honors. Most notably, I want to say to all the voting systems, freaking fix it. What the crud was that? Your Hall of Fame voting was atrocious. That's just so bad. The fact that we're only getting 4 is ridiculous. Let's just note that because there are multiple guys, and I'm going to stump for Torrey Holt again. Get him in the Hall of Fame. It's ridiculous. The stats are there. There is literally no reason to not put him in.
He's the missing piece of the greatest show on turf. How is he not in the Hall of Fame?
Bro, you just look at his run as the yards leader, the multiple times yard leader there in the NFC. I just killed it for that team, and genuinely, it's just dumb. Look at where he's at. Look at the guys behind him that have already made it in terms of stats. It's ridiculous. But anyway, the voting process sucks. That was clear. Bill Belichick, that whole mess, who, by the way, played it up so good. Way to keep a smile on your face. That Pat McAfee interview, beautiful. I loved Pat's sarcasm in it, but for Belichick to just laugh it off right then and there, when you know his heart's probably a little broken, for sure. That guy loves football more than maybe anybody on planet Earth. That was horrible. Harrison, dude, did you guys watch the Rodney Harrison-Tony Dungy interview?
I did not.
Bro, you need to see Rodney Harrison go off on Tony Dungy to his face. They work for the same company, and lost his mind on Tony Dungy. That was the most disrespectful thing you could have done, not just to the coach, but to the game. And he looked at him. He's guys like you voting against him because he did what he did to your offenses and stopped you from winning more Super Bowls is absolutely petty and pathetic. He literally went after. I was like, oh,
I
love Tony Dungy. I love Tony Dungy, the man. Love him. but I couldn't agree with Rodney
weak.
Harrison more.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
so bad, dude. So that whole mess was a thing, but how shocked were you guys when you saw the vote tallies on these awards? Drake May that close to Matthew Stafford was wild to me.
I was more shocked that someone voted for Justin Herbert as MVP.
Oh.
Come on.
Get me on
Dude,
my high horse right now.
I'm from Oregon. I love Herbert. He's got a place in my heart. I've got an Oregon Duck Herbert jersey in my closet. Okay. I get it. He's great. I like him. I like him more than probably most because he doesn't have the playoff success. I totally get all of that. But what drugs are you on to give him an MVP vote?
He's not. He's not. He's a sports writer.
Yep.
And by the way, a sports
came
writer
out-
from a non-accredited paper or anything like that. He was part of PFF. He is an Irish native who has never played a down of football in his life, and he crunched numbers for PFF, then started a podcast that's popular enough somehow to get him a vote for the MVP.
So we can be Hall of Fame voters.
Our doors here.
Hey,
Yeah, dude,
we
come
need
on,
a few
come
more
on.
likes and shares, guys.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
really
we're-
want to vote for the MVP.
And first one, we're getting Torrey Holt in, and we're getting T.O. in. Those are 1 and 2.
And
right
no
there.
worries, Grant and I'll just do a little 1, 2, 3 to see
Yeah.
who gets the actual vote year to year, right? Since we're the co-hosts, we'll just go and we'll just play a little rock, paper, scissors, see who gets to toss it in there. We won't have any biases at all, even though we tell you all of our biases all the time and admit that we have them. What the crud is that garbage? I said this about sports writers. You don't belong in the vote. You didn't play. You didn't coach. You don't know the game like they know the game. And ball respect ball, like we're about that all day. Sports writers are some of the most pretentious human beings on earth. How do I know that? Because I used to be one. 100% used to do it for a living. And I would sit in the room and watch these guys analyze a game and go, I don't think you're right about that. Because I also used to coach and I played the game and I understand it. Not to the extent that these dudes do. They're incredible. They're geniuses, but would listen to these sports writers going off about, they didn't do this, didn't make it go to the left. They're the entire first half. They didn't run the ball to the left. That's why they lost. I think it was more so because those kids were 185 pounds going against 250-pound monsters across the line. But that's just me. But genuinely, like, guys talk like that constantly, like they know more, and they clearly are acting like it when it comes to these voting systems. Dude, it's absolute trash. I stand by what Randy Moss said, that if you didn't play, you didn't coach, you don't vote, period. That's it, and that's what he's asking for the Hall of Fame. By the way, the guys that are causing the most problems, though, in the MVP and in the Hall of Fame, those are current and former GMs. That they have obvious biases.
Didn't vote, didn't coach, or didn't play, didn't coach.
I'm
So
going to be honest. I
just
would
because
almost
you
rather have journalists vote
then GMs
than I
for
would
sure.
GMs, because
Like-
GMs are just messy in their own regard, but like closer. And so they have their personal, like a journalist, maybe that's a bad example because journalists do have grudge with Bill Belichick because obviously he's never really been peachy in interviews. But like for the most part, like a journalist and like a player or a coach or whoever's being inducted into the Hall of Fame or is eligible to be, like there's not really like personal beef there so much all the time. But with GMs, it's, oh yeah, like I was in some of these meetings and I really just hated this guy, or my buddy owns this team and he really hates this guy. That gets
Or it's this guy made my team look bad. So just because you're a billionaire, you just have money. That's the only thing. You absolutely paid to get into the club, and that's why you think you have a voice, but you still don't know the game. I'm sorry, Jerry Jones, you don't know the game. Clearly you don't, because what are you doing? Like that, we're thinking that a guy like him, who traded away Micah Parsons, running this Cowboys franchise into the ground, which for all our enjoyment, I'm enjoying every second of it. He needs to keep doing his job. But someone like him gets to decide who gets in the Hall of Fame and doesn't.
Yes. Bill Polian and Tony Dungy, by the way, both get to vote for the Hall of Fame. Guess who didn't vote for Bill Belichick? Both of them. Both.
Well,
Guess who
well,
destroyed their
no.
chances at winning Super Bowls for years?
No,
Bill
Bill Polian doesn't remember who he voted for. Yeah, he didn't remember. Just
Yeah,
like I didn't. Just like when I was a kid, I didn't remember if I took a cookie out of the cookie jar when
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
wasn't
say.
supposed to. I don't remember if I
Like,
did
okay,
that.
either either you voted against putting Belichick in first ballot, which should just remove your ability to vote, or you forgot, which means you shouldn't be voting for
Right,
anything
because
for the Hall
clearly
of
you need to
Fame
be put
because-
into a home.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
by the way, Bill Polian hasn't been an NFL executive for going on 18 years.
Yeah.
Why is he voting? He literally was done in 08.
That's like when
Like, that
Tomlin
makes
and Harbaugh joined the league.
I understand he's been like a, what do they call it when they're just like, he's been an advisor and had multiple roles like that.
Dude,
both
they
now in
give those
organizations.
roles to people to make them feel good because they
Troy Aikman has one with the Dolphins. He gonna really do.
They gave one to Pete Carroll when they fired him from the coach. Hey, you can have an office here because we want to respect what you've done. But I don't think that Pete Carroll ever did that. Like, they just are given that to make people feel good, to cushion the.
There's tons of those, dude. Those are like board roles for companies.
Yeah.
Those are guys handing out checks to their buddies, and they can put their
Yeah, it's
name on it and say,
nepotism
he's
jobs.
part of our board. Look at our board. Our board is awesome. I totally understand that happens, but dude hasn't had anything to do with the NFL in a full-time role in 18 seasons, and he's still voting for the Hall of Fame. It's almost like he hung on to that honor long enough to make this vote in particular. Like, that grudge was that bad. But when you have to cross a certain percentage and you have two of those votes, two of them coming from one team, that's pretty ridiculous. By the way, actually, I think it's three. I'm pretty sure Peyton gets the vote.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Maybe
that's
wrong
fine.
about that.
But
no,
that's fine.
No,
Like,
he doesn't. He
but
does not.
even
My
if he
bad.
does, but like, see, like, so to go, but it's like a movie, to go to the Oscars for a second, because Oscars are coming up. Like, people who get into the Academy, when they talk about thinking the Academy, it's former winners, directors, writers who have won the Oscar. They're the ones that get into the Academy that then have a say. The NFL needs to adopt the same thing. People who get into the Hall of Fame, people who have played the game, they're the ones who are in the Academy, are in the committee that get to make a vote and have a say. That's how this should go. That's how it goes with other awards, other award shows. You have to have been there, been a part of it, or won something in order to qualify to have a voice on who gets to also be a part of the party, whatever you want to call it. So it's a no-brainer. That's how this should go.
Okay.
They need to fix it.
And
Here you
unless
go.
you've won an award for sports journalism, I think you should be able to vote. But you have to be like vetted. I think they have, I was Googling it, the Bill Nunn Memorial Award winners for professional football writers of America. Like, they get voted in. I don't know. Like, I'm scrolling through some of these. A lot of these names don't stand out to me a whole lot. But if there were an accredited journalist, I think you could still vote. But again, it's
Yeah, some
Some of the
podcast,
validity
some
of it is just
podcaster
like-
guy who worked for PFF for a couple of years, crunching numbers,
Yeah.
should not have a vote.
because if you're a modern day journalist and you have a feel for the game compared to, again, like you were saying, GM who hasn't had any like actual active duty, if you want to call it that, in the last 20 years.
That, but
there's got to be
also-
some skin in the game at some point.
So,
Dave Portnoy should not get a vote. That
Oh,
guy's an
no.
idiot.
no.
Yes, Barstool Sports is becoming more of a thing, and they just signed a deal with Netflix, all that stuff. But that guy should never get a say
at
about
least
what happened.
he would've
With the
voted
garbage
Belichick
pizza
in.
that he likes, yeah, he absolutely should.
Just saying, as we know that media is shifting a lot to online stuff, that doesn't mean that some of those guys should.
So this is when I say that it's archaic, and last week I harped pretty hard on this. This is how archaic it is. Okay, every NFL host city, so Chicago, New Orleans, everybody that's got an NFL team, they get a writer from that city on this committee. All right, that's how it works. So you get 32 of the 50 right there. Then there are at-large members that are put onto that committee by the NFL, one of which is Bill Polian, another one is Tony Dungy. So then you have an Indianapolis writer and those two guys and all of their friendships. And by the way, I don't know if you guys have met like super famous athletes or anything like that, but when you do,
I mean them all the time. I'm best friends with all of them.
yeah, when you meet them, I have a really funny Jamal Charles story. I genuinely forgot. I had this come up in my feed this week as a memory. I ran into Dak Prescott one time at Dallas Fort Worth back in 2019. Super nice guy, by the way. It was standing behind him in Starbucks at 6 a.m. or something stupid like that. And I was like, hey, are you who I think you are? And I was like, are you Dak? And he just turns around and he was like, yeah, man. And he like shakes my hand. He goes, you a Cowboys fan? I was like, absolutely not, dude.
No,
And,
you're not gonna like this.
And
Quite
he,
opposite.
and he goes, oh, yeah. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm a 49er fan. I'm a lifer. And he goes, oh. And he goes, wow. all good. And I was like, no, I'm a big fan of Ball though. And I was like, dude, and he was coming off pretty good year. And I was like, hey man, you had a really good season. And I was like, good luck next year. And I remember thinking at the time, I was like, I do not mean the words that I just said to Dak Prescott. I was like, I hope you have the worst season of your career. Am I kidding? But no, when you meet them though, like genuinely, you're in awe. They put those writers in the room with these guys, and then the Bill Polians and the Tony Dungies of the world, by the way, sit there and go, hey guys, this is what I think. And they have this conversation and dialogue where they influence the conversation. And when you've got three entities already pushing against Belichick and raising up the flag and going, that one time he filmed practice and we're pretty sure they told Tom Brady to deflate footballs. Like when you're doing that garbage, it's pretty easy when you're the loud voices and the popular people in the room to influence conversation. I hate that's how archaic this is. By the way, Washington Post, the newspaper in Washington, D.C. this last week, one of the largest newspapers in the entire country, eliminated its entire sports department. Guess who was voting from Washington, D.C. for the Commanders? Their chief writer. And so he is going to have to be pulled off of this committee after the season. It's so archaic that they're like, hey, you're not worth our time anymore. We're not even going to let you write about sports. And that guy still got a vote this year. Okay, that's how bad that is. We're done. Those guys sit in offices, they write articles, they maybe go to a press conference or two, but most of the football writers are not sitting there with athletes anymore. They're digesting the way you and I digest, and they write stuff. They go to games, sure, and they get the opportunity to do some like distant interviews. Most of the people that they're taking interviews with now, though, are doing what we're doing right now. They're doing it like this. This is how almost all interviewing is done in the current age. So they don't have the relationships. They don't have the respect of the game. They're just digesting content like the rest of us do. But their opinions matter? Yeah, dude. Forget it. It's dumb. And this is the ultimate example of that. But also, in the NFL honors, I want to say we are totally agreed on MVP. That was absolutely need to happen. The one guy I think got hosed is actually a Seahawk. I think Eamon Warry got hosed. Didn't like that at all. No offense to Schlesinger from the Browns, but dude, you're not anywhere near the playoffs. And I get that he was in what was he, number 6 in tackles this year. You're going to get a lot of tackles when you're on the field a lot. That happens. And when you're the middle linebacker in that cog system, you're always going to get a lot of tackles. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
But I genuinely thought Eamon Warry got hosed. Didn't understand Josh McDaniels getting that award. They just decided to give the Patriots coaching staff all the awards for their coaches.
And then the Seahawks went and embarrassed their coaching staff 100%.
Things that they do the best. Yeah, like I thought that was really funny. The parody is hilarious. But some of those votes just so odd that they were really close. But
all the favorite, we didn't say like all the favorites won. It was every
favorites won. Yeah.
Yep.
Every
All the
Vegas
betting
favorite
odds
that we named.
Yep. So there was no surprises, but because we thought clearly, again, for the defensive rookie, we're like, clearly this guy's the better player out of all of them. So I was a little shocked because I thought that maybe, again, they may understand that clearly if you just watch football, there's clearly one guy who's better than the rest of them. And again, no shade to any of the other ones, but still, yeah, especially winning wasn't a surprise.
I think we were all surprised, Offensive Player of the Year, that Christian got second.
I did see that.
We were all a little surprised at that.
I thought it would have been Jason and Puka. I honestly thought that might have been the closest voting thing, honestly, is what I thought. Not MVP, Stafford winning it by 2 or 1 or whatever. I thought it was going to be whoever the winner was going to win by a vote or 2 for Offensive Player of the Year. I legit thought it was a toss-up.
I think one of us said it, though, like health definitely comes into play there. We talked about Puka missing a game and a half, and Christian played. And the touchdowns matter. I get that. The touchdowns matter, too.
And when Stafford wins MVP, like I could see that like swaying some of the voters away from Puka.
Yeah, we already gave it to
kind of like splits. It's like the same thing where it's okay, do I have the MVP and the coach of the year or the MVP and the offensive player of the year on the same team? Like then does that lessen the award of the other? But I would say if you watch Puka Nacua play football, it's okay. Yeah, Stafford is the MVP, but also he should have at least been second. He's just whenever I'm watching a game, I'm like, seriously, just throw him the ball every time. Yeah. Like whenever we're losing against the Seahawks, I'm like, it's 3rd and 7. Just don't throw the ball anywhere else other than to number 12.
And
You'd
then,
rather-
but when it's inside the 5, you got to throw it to Devonta. Like that's the
Oh
rule.
yeah.
But also, you can go. I'd rather throw. If I was a Rams fan, you'd rather throw Puka Nacua in quadruple coverage over Ferguson. Game on the line. I would probably rather throw
Stone
it to,
hands over here.
I'd rather throw it to Puka in that situation, 100%. But that's a conversation from 2 weeks ago.
Dude, okay. Real question on the Super Bowl. Going back to this last week, what was your commercial of the year?
I did not care.
Not gonna lie, I did not pay attention to basically.
I'm
any
sorry.
commercial.
Like I was.
I laughed
so
at Benson Boone, the Ben Stiller one.
I know a
but-
Budweiser one was really funny. A lot of people liked a Budweiser. It was like a, right? Wasn't there a Budweiser one that was funny? I was listening to some people talk about the
Yeah,
game
'cause
or whatever. They
we were
mentioned
playing a
that
lot
one.
of games during it, so we were like mostly watching football, but we were playing like games and stuff at our tables and like hanging out. So we missed a lot of the commercials. But I did see the Benson Boone one. I thought that was really funny. I'd already seen the first one that came up on YouTube beforehand. But yeah, Ben Stiller backflipping off the top to try and one up him for it's Instacart, I think is what it was.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was Instacart.
Yeah, but was there a Doritos commercial at all?
I don't know. They all turned into celebrity cameo, like AI slap commercials. Where it's like, let's just put as much like de-aged celebrities.
I
Like,
actually-
there was that one with all the sitcoms in it, where I was like,
That's the one I was gonna say. I did like that one. That was yes.
Which
it's kind
one?
of-
Sorry?
I hated that
That
one.
was the Dunkin' Donuts with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and then they had they had Joey from Friends in there. They had all of them. That was the one that I probably paid the most attention to because I was like, what's going on here?
Okay, short story. I know we're in the middle of an episode, but I'm watching. I do this thing where my wife crashes out pretty early, right? And I'll just stay in the room, have my iPad, headphones in, and I'll just be like sitting in bed and watch whatever. And there's this awesome reel that comes up, and it's this random fan meeting Joey from Friends. And she's like, oh my gosh, and takes selfie, whatever. And she goes, can you do me the greatest favor of all time? And he's like, okay. And she goes, can you say it? Please, can you say it? And he goes, oh, I can do it. And he leans back and he goes, how you doing? And just right in it, oh, dude. And it was like, it's probably 11:30 at night. I laughed so hard out loud. I laughed snotted. Like I was trying to hold it in. And
Oh yeah.
and I was like, dude, it was so funny. And I woke my wife up and she's just, what is going on? And I was like, how you doing? And she's like, what is wrong with you? It was so funny, bro.
That's funny.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah,
sorry.
I did
Shut
not.
up,
I
Joey.
was again like paying the least amount of attention to commercials in this one. I was usually because I was hiding. I texted you guys. I was hiding up in the balcony of our church.
Yep.
I legit had it roped off because so that they wouldn't
No
come
entry.
up. Because a couple times I was down there, I was getting asked the dumbest questions that didn't matter about
Yes.
like where's this at? Where's I'm like, or we did a bingo thing. Like everybody does a bingo thing. One of my youth leaders made it, and they kept asking me questions about it. Does eye black count as face paint? While I'm like, what? I don't know. No, and like I was like, what? Back to focusing on the game. So I was like, I'm just going upstairs. I'm hiding from this. So I was
mean,
just
if your
so
team's
laser
not in
focused.
it though, I will say Super Bowl bingo's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Okay? But when I have to announce all the things that have happened because you're not paying attention, we're talking non-football related. Has there been a truck in the desert? A talking animal. Of course, there's been a talking animal. We've been through the whole first quarter of commercials. Like, genuinely, there has been. Has a cameraman gotten hit and knocked over yet? Yeah, like the ball went out of bounds 5 times already. What are you talking about?
I told them, I was like, you guys are responsible to keep track of
those in your
things.
position, I'm not talking to you people.
Yeah.
Next time I'm taking Jameson's advice. I'll be in a freaking like basement bunker with a concrete door. Like you can talk to me in the next like millennia. I am not speaking to human beings. But no, I had to explain what a touchdown was 3 times.
I had to explain what a fumble was, and I was like,
Yep, had to do that too.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you who I had to explain that to, because all of you know this person. But like, it was one of those Super Bowl parties. Jameson, like your point is so accurate. It's probably why it's our most viewed clip of all time. But I don't like Super Bowl parties anymore. I hope nobody
irony
watches
is
this that
actually
I was
went to a
with.
Super
It's
Bowl
nothing
party
against them.
yesterday.
You what?
I was at a Super Bowl party yesterday.
Why? Oh wait, because your team wasn't playing. Duh.
My team wasn't playing, and I was dropping some stuff out at the house in Albany, and my buddies were watching the game down there.
There you
And
go.
come through. I was like, "Yeah, cool."
Dude.
Since I have no skin in this game, I will certainly slide through and eat up the buffet.
Eat up on some chips and dip.
What's the best thing you ate yesterday?
I ate nothing.
Brought a dessert, and it was like a little like biscotti or whatever they're called, Biscoff. I can't remember.
But yeah, Biscoff. Yeah, Biscoff.
It's like the cracker, not the dunk in the coffee thing, but it was like a little mini cheesecake with one of those sticking out of the top. And I'm not usually like the biggest desserts guy, but there was just something about it. Dude, that was like somebody handmade this and brought it here, and it was just hitting. And it was probably because the game sucked. And I was like, I need like something to bring me joy,
something to make me happy.
Yeah, it was the dessert.
I ate one chicken wing and one jalapeno popper and 3 kernels of popcorn. Because when I'm like nervous, I don't eat food. Like on Sunday nights when we do like our youth group, I don't eat food. I just can't. Yep. And so I ate. Yeah, I had 2 bites. So that like. At lunch today, I scarfed down so much food because I hadn't eaten really anything in 24 hours. But so I was bummed. We had one of our people from our church who does like smoked food, made all this stuff for us, and it smelled delicious. But I was like, I'm just drinking 4 cans of Mountain Dew and just going almost into cardiac arrest.
That'll help your anxiety.
My primary form of sustenance was the chips and the dip. I don't know if you guys have had them, but at Trader Joe's they have these like elote corn like dippers. And they're basically like a corn chip, dip thing,
like the Fritos
like
dippers,
elote,
like the bowl, like tiny, like little
elote seasoned, and like you dip that in some guac or in some salsa. It's so good.
I did my chili dip with cream cheese that I love, and then I dropped in the Taco Bell salsa verde. Like we have a whole bottle of it. Dumped the whole thing in there, mixed that up, dude. That gave it the right amount of flavor. Was down with that. That was the first time I'd ever tried that. We did original recipe, and then I did that just as an aside. Definitely going back to the Verde again. I will do that several times. But I was going to say my favorite thing, traditional buffalo wings were fantastic. My good friend Perry made those yesterday. And then my daughter made chocolate cake. We're talking like just awesomely, perfectly dense, not like overly, like perfectly dense cake. She pulled out at just the right time, which is crazy. My daughter's not even 10 years old. And it was a chocolate with fudge in the mix. And then she did a bunch of chocolate chips in there and melted it in. Bro, it was gone immediately. Like it was a full size
vanilla bean, and I'm there.
Oh, dude, it was impressive. I told my daughter, like, you're making that every single time. That was so good, and everybody was asking for more. She got a whole bunch of high fives from a bunch of college age students yesterday who super appreciated that one. But no, it was a lot of fun to hang out and do the whole thing. I think from a conversational standpoint, guys, as soon as it's over, we're on to the next. That's how we work through the year. I know Grant's got some more celebrating to do. I heard that there's a parade in your future.
Yes, my in-laws surprised me yesterday because they have a timeshare or World Mark thing, and they offered that to be able to go watch the parade on Wednesday. I was able to get stuff done, so I will be doing that leaving tomorrow. So you'll get this a day early. So I'm pretty excited about that. It'll be cool. I'm excited to do it. I'm like, there's supposed to going to be like 1 million people there. That's what the report is. And so our hotel's 20 minutes away from where the parade route is. So clearly just walking it, I'm not trying to drive anywhere with near 1 million people. So it might be cool. I don't know. I've never been, but I was like, potentially a once in a lifetime. Like I may never see a Super Bowl win again. And so
it might be cooler after the fact. Like, yeah, I was there.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. I was at the parade.
And if it's the last one I see in my lifetime, maybe because it's never a given that your team goes back. Yeah, so it'll be cool. It'll be exciting. It'll be a nice little 24-hour trip right back home on Thursday. But yeah, I'll probably try and secure a Super Bowl shirt or something like that if it's not sold out. But I mean,
like the Super Bowl hats this year, they were actually good.
I was like,
horrible.
I would actually wear this on a Tuesday, not just like on a game day. Like I got so much game day stuff. I'm like, I'm never wearing this like anywhere else. It matches the jersey or it matches the sweatshirt or whatever. But I was like, well, I'd wear that just randomly. I'll probably secure something like that. It'll be overly expensive. I'll be spending like $50 on a hat. But the other thing I did buy was silly, but I was happy to do it. I purchased on eBay some of the confetti from the Super Bowl. So it was actually $25, and I'm like, oh, that's not bad.
Like,
so
is it like a whole bag?
It's like a baggie of it. Yeah, like it's as legit as I can prove it. Like the guy like took pictures of him like grabbing it, like first person
Dude,
of him.
Can we
grabbing
just
it,
say
so-
massive respect to that guy who had that thought? What an entrepreneur.
There's quite a
Kudos.
few. I was like, I wonder if this exists. You can buy everything on eBay. I'm just gonna look it up, and then sure enough, there's quite a few, and for $25, it's not bad as a little keepsake.
Grant's
So
buying confetti from a dude that like screenshotted somebody's Facebook.
if so, it was $25. It wasn't like I dropped
It's
like
gonna be,
$200 on it.
little
Who's gonna
teeny
DNA test
confetti
this?
where it's like this big,
Yeah,
like, fake
Dude.
small confetti.
He's so funny though.
yeah.
Oh
So
my-
yeah, definitely a special moment. I was a little emotional for sure watching it. But one thing I will say, to me, it's crazy how winning erases everything. I could care less about them not running the ball on the 1 yard line now. Like it doesn't. I said before that will always hurt, but honestly, I go, they beat the team that caused me this much pain for 11 years. The fact that they were never in another Super Bowl up until this point, and to beat them, like I don't care anymore because they got another one. Like winning, just like erases all of it. I was talking to a friend who Matt was a big Dodger fan, and the Dodgers were losing games, losing the playoffs all the time, and a lot of painful World Series losses. But when they started winning, I don't care anymore. It's crazy how winning just erases that. So I know some people will try to cling on to be like, oh, we could have had 3. And like, yeah, you could have, but it's about as good as it gets, man. Like to beat the team that caused you that pain, and winning cures it all, man. It doesn't affect me the same anymore. If someone goes, should have thrown it at the 1, I'm like, okay, we just beat them now, so we got our revenge and spanked them. So
I can empathize with that because as a Red Sox fan, my just winning one in general was incredible. Okay.
Yeah.
But then like to win a couple more and to watch the demise of the team that you hate, like that you just hate.
Yeah.
That has been absolutely beautiful over the years. And going into every season going, yeah, we might not win it all, but they're not gonna win. That is pretty good. And when they try to bring up, like Yankees fans love doing that thing where they bring up
27.
how many World Series we got? Yep, 27.
Yeah.
And then we go, hey, how many of them were non-wartime, you turd buckets? And then we have that dialogue, and they really don't like that discussion, by the way. And they're like, there's no validity to your argument. I'm like, actually, there is, because you have the richest owner in the league for literally like your entire existence until 2000, which, by the way, hasn't been going since then. But it did cure all of the sadness.
Yeah.
Like winning one does cure all that sadness. Like I think about Bills fans losing 4 in a row. And we actually did a contest yesterday. We did a quiz in there. I thought about bringing it with us today, but we did such a good job on our time that I didn't want to mess with this. But I was talking to the group, and I'm like, hey, can you name the only team to lose 4 in a row? And there was a few people in the room that definitely knew it. And they go, oh, it was the Bills, after we were doing the answers. And then the next question was 3 players have tied with 5 Super Bowl losses. Or sorry, it was 3 players have tied with the same amount of Super Bowl losses. How many losses have they all lost? What's the record? And it was 5.
5. Yep.
Yeah. Gave that one away. But Cornelius Bennett, by far the most well-known player of those 3, by the way. And they were all former Bills. So I had that bleed into it. And we were talking about that. And this one girl was like, man, how do you get over 5 Super Bowl losses? And I was like, you win one. And she's like, that would negate all that. I was like, absolutely.
It does. It totally. We talk about like the what have you done for me recently,
Well-
but you hold it forever. They were 13 when they won there, so like obviously I was a fan then. I was probably 3 or 4 years into being a fan at that point, really, and so I was excited. But to win one now is I love it, even the sport even more now. Talk about it every week. It definitely means a lot. And like the other thing, which I thought about bringing up as just ammo, like to win one in your opponent's stadium, like that I will never use it on you unless we're joking, whatever. But there's quite some ammo to celebrate the Super Bowl win in an opponent's locker room. No matter who it is, like that, there is just quite a bit of things to cherish for sure. If you're a Seahawks fan about this one,
I think this part's really funny, by the way. Like somebody, like I had a coworker bring that up today, and he goes, oh man, in your stadium, and I go, I literally don't care. I don't understand why that's a big deal.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't understand.
It's probably a bigger deal. It's a bigger deal probably for Seahawks fans than it is Niner fans. I know some might really hate that, and like for sure. But no, winning negates all of it. If they never win again, which I would not, I would love them to win more. But I will always have that like forever. And like to this one was more meaningful than the last one. And to see it, yeah, it totally negates it all. Win one. And so for teams that have never won one, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is like for the Bills, if they go win one, and you've been a fan since you were a little kid, and maybe you're like in your mid 40s now, and like never seen your team win one, it would negate all of that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It would let go of all of it just to have that to hold on to, and you got to have that experience. And I think that's what we love so much about football is any season can be your season.
Mm-hmm.
Any time, like your team can go on this run and just give you memories and
Look
some
at the Bears.
Yeah. Like they've got what right now they're primed, ready to go. Like they just had a great season. They could get one next year. The list of teams right now that we think is probably in consideration is like half the league. Like genuinely half the league. We feel good about going into next year. A couple teams that went through injuries, Chiefs most notably, that didn't get to the playoffs that were like, yeah, what could the Bengals be if they get an offensive line and some defensive players? Like genuinely, what could they be? We feel good about that. But I love the parity of this league. I love that the Seahawks sucked a couple years ago and they went and did things all the right way. And again, I want to give them all the credit. Stayed super classy through it. As an entity, and it's good for them doing it the right way, winning football games and getting there. But like anybody could do that in 2 years. And if I told you that your team, as bad as they suck, could come and do what the Seahawks just did in 2 years, if they make a couple of right moves, get the right structure and culture in there, you'd be like on board 100%. You'd sacrifice a year or two to get there so that you could have that championship. And the NFL gives us that every year. Everybody does have a real shot. And we love the way this league's constructed and the product that it gives us. And the parity is so much fun. It's what makes us tune in every single week. So we hope you've enjoyed the 2026 season. We're going to put a cap on Sportsify for the season, but we are now moving to off-season mode and headed towards 2026. We're going to have plenty of content. We're going to lots of stuff for you guys to engage with. Mike is going to explain to us how the NFL draft works, and then he's going to make our brains hurt when he picks all of the first round correctly, and it's super annoying, and you'll get to join us for that.
Yeah.
You're going to watch the offseason construct your team. You're going to watch a whole bunch more people like Mr. Pierce get arrested in the offseason. We'll talk about that a little bit.
Stephon Diggs might be too.
Yeah, he might lose his mind completely this offseason. Who knows? But we're going to check in with you about all of it. So stay engaged with us through the offseason. We are an NFL show, but Sportsify will be here as we build up towards the next season because we love everything NFL, everything football, and we're always going to be about it. Thank you for joining us on Sportsify, and we will see you here in the next couple of weeks. We're taking a little break, but we'll see you here really soon, and excited to talk draft and the offseason with you. You guys have a good one.